Life is full of challenges, hardships, and trials, and often we find ourselves struggling to understand why we have to endure such difficulties. Yet, the Bible provides a profound perspective on these experiences, especially in the book of James. James 1 verses 2 to 4 offers a timeless message that encourages believers to view their trials differently. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. In this passage, James teaches that joy can be found even in difficult situations, not because the challenges themselves are enjoyable, but because of the growth, strength, and maturity they produce in our faith. Joy in trials. At first glance, James' advice to count it all joy when facing trials might seem confusing. How can we find joy in the midst of suffering? It's important to note that James is not saying to enjoy the pain itself, but rather to focus on the potential that trials hold for personal and spiritual growth. The joy he speaks of is not a surface-level happiness, but a deeper sense of peace and assurance, knowing that God has a purpose for our trials. Trials are often painful and uncomfortable, and it's natural to want to avoid them. However, as Christians, we are called to trust that God uses these moments to shape us. James is challenging believers to see beyond the immediate pain and recognize that trials are opportunities for growth. It's a shift in perspective, from focusing on the hardship to focusing on what God can accomplish through it. Testing of faith and steadfastness. James 1 verse 3 goes on to explain that trials test our faith, and through this testing, steadfastness or endurance is produced. This testing is not a pass-or-fail examination, but a refining process. Just as gold is purified through fire, our faith is strengthened when tested by adversity. The process may be difficult, but the outcome is a stronger, more resilient faith. Steadfastness, in this context, means standing firm in the face of difficulty. It's about remaining committed to our faith, even when circumstances are tough. This endurance is not something that happens overnight, but develops as we continue to trust God through various trials. Each challenge we face builds our capacity to endure, to trust, and to rely on God's strength rather than our own. The more we endure, the more we grow in steadfastness. This spiritual endurance equips us to face future challenges with greater confidence and resilience. Instead of being overwhelmed by difficulties, we learn to stand firm, trusting that God is at work, even in the darkest times. Becoming perfect and complete. James concludes this passage by saying that the goal of steadfastness is to make us perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. This doesn't mean we will reach sinless perfection in this life, but rather that through trials and steadfast endurance, we become more mature in our faith. God's desire is to shape us into people who are spiritually whole, who have a deep and abiding faith, and who reflect His character more and more. Spiritual maturity is the end result of enduring trials with joy and faith. It's the process of becoming the person God has called us to be, shaped and refined through every challenge. When we face trials with the right perspective, trusting in God's purpose and His promise, we grow into people who are not easily shaken, who possess a mature and steadfast faith. Counting it all joy in the face of trials is not about denying the pain, but about embracing the process of growth that God is working in us. When we approach difficulties with faith and perseverance, we allow God to transform us, making us more resilient, more faithful, and more like Christ. If you found this video informative, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more content. Thank you.